Of the inside, I am Babylon Jonathan. The security situation in the crisis-stricken northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon remains volatile. Killings and other atrocities have continued in the two regions for more than 7 years now. In one of the most recent incidents, a gendarmerie brigade commander and 5 of his collaborators were killed by armed men in AMUNGWA in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Their corpses mutilated and set ablaze. Their vehicle burnt down and equipment collected. And we are looking at this in this edition of the Inside, plus the ongoing massive registration of potential voters ahead of the 2025 elections in Cameroon. And the Minister of Electoral Administration says registration is not by force. This reaction came on the heels of efforts by political parties, notably those of the opposition, to step up the registration exercise. Political parties and their leaders and militants have been on the ground canvassing for votes, encouraging and urging Cameroonians to go out massively and register on the electoral list. But the Minister of Electoral Administration at TANYI sees this as a way of forcing Cameroonians to register. He says that registration is not by force. He says that their right to choice, to choose whether to register or not, is being violated by political party leaders and militants and other persons who are canvassing for registration. But this is interpreted as an attempt to puncture the massive voter registration momentum ahead of the 2025 elections. Need our guest in some few seconds. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And in this edition of the program, our guest is Barrister Nicodemus, AMUNGWA human rights advocate, one of the lawyers of Detainees of the Anglophone Crisis, head of the media team for the defense of the Anglophone leaders, the detained Anglophone leaders, and hundreds of persons today in connection to the Anglophone Crisis. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your talk show, but it's been a while, and I think I'm here today again for us to continue to explore and to put our voices again from the topic. It means things are not working for those who thought that they must have worked by this time through the method that they've been using. The hammer method will not help the situation in the northwest and the southwest regions. Even the courts in Cameroon will not help it, because since 2017, we've been to the courts, we are following updates, we've been to the field ourselves, we know the danger that the people of these two regions are living. And for those that thought that the hammer is the only option, everywhere you go with the hammer. That hammer solution is not coming. And today, the use of force to resolve a problem, wherein politicians think that it is an internal matter, but which have decided to use the hammer, the military that is supposed to be for all the citizens, has become a target itself by the population being targeted also by the military. This is a contrast of what we are living in Cameroon, and we are still saying it, and saying it aloud, that the hammer solution cannot and shall never solve this crisis.
Before we go forward, we're going to take a look at this report compiled by AC Lucy Lingo on the current security situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and the most recent incident in which a gendarmerie brigade commander and 5 of his elements were killed in Mojja in the southwest region of the country.
Deadly attacks continue gaining grounds in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. For over 7 years, the northwest and southwest regions have been gripped by socio-political crises, wherein more than 6,000 people have died and hundreds of thousands displaced. The most recent attack occurred in the early hours of Friday, 10th of May 2024, in a Mojja subdivision of the southwest region, where at least 5 Cameroonian soldiers were shot at close range, killed and burnt by a group of separatist fighters. Reports also revealed that the elements of the National Gendarmerie Brigade were on patrol along the Equinoxe highway when they were ambushed. In videos circulating on social media, a group of armed separatists are rejoicing on the mutilated bodies of the soldiers and claiming responsibility for the heinous act. They also present weapons and other items seized from the officers. The deadly ambush claims the life of at least 5 soldiers, including the commander of the Gendarmerie Brigade. Among the soldiers, just a gendarme officer managed to escape with injuries. Still, in the Anglophone Crisis, on November 6, 2023, more than 20 people died in the Beko village massacre in the Manu division. The inhabitants of the Manu division, like elsewhere in the two English-speaking regions, continue to live in fear and uncertainty.
Thank you, AC Lucy Lingo, for that report. Barrister, when you see such images of security and defense forces killed in such brutal manner, a gendarmerie brigade commander and his elements, 5 of them killed in such manner, what is your reading of the current situation on the ground?
Babylon, it bleeds my heart. These are parents and husbands of some women. And the method is not best. You know, for our stories we got about people, wherein we talk about incineration of corpses. This is total desecration. We are not looking at this situation holistically, because politicians have always called on us to condemn acts, and gradually everybody should go down to it. The word in Cameroon today is we should be condemning, we should be condemning, we should be condemning, but we are not finding a solution. 5 military officers. If you look at the economic impact, if you look at the economic ramification to a country, because we are attaining a level where people have gone down the precipice, if not the abyss of their insensitivity towards the lives and property of persons. We are caught in the time. We are at crossroad, Babylon. The international community has spoken. Friends of Cameroon have spoken. The population has spoken. Imperial studies have been carried out by intellectuals throughout the whole world. All attempts have been made. But behold, Jonathan, this is where we find ourselves. This is where we find ourselves. People are very insensitive. We have decided to convert ourselves to people who don't mind about people's lives. A life lost in the country, especially a life of a military officer. If you look at the economic impact, as I started saying, just imagine what does it take for a country to train a military officer. Look at the arms that are lying there that have been collected, they're getting into hands. And what will be the repercussion? I think time is now. Time is now for us to re-strategize and look at the solution to the crisis. It should be on a table. Governors should talk. We should talk. Even lawyers and teachers that started this crisis, they are supposed to swear in play. Because the situation, this is least expected at the time that lawyers started presenting issues that were there. But they only responded by saying the translation of papers or text. And they started with cosmetic. solutions. And
At this point, Barrister, while it is being said that there is a gradual return to normalcy, there is peace, and so on and so forth, we see this happening. Isn't this a sharp contrast of what the authorities have been saying?
Look, we are not far. Mafe was yesterday about the incident of Ebeba. And today we are at the Mojja. But what will I tell you, Babila? I think the head of state should sweep all the administrators in the South region. The head of state should call his political elite of the South region, if not those of the North region. The moment has come for these people to tell the head of state the truth. I'm a Cameroonian, I've come of age, I'm a lawyer, and we have been talking. We've been helping the state of Cameroon to understand that the crisis in the Northwest region was not even called for. It's an uncalled crisis, Northwest and South region. And where we find ourselves today, the reports that are coming up are not representative of what we find on ground. In the Southwest and the Northwest region, Babila, you live a second at a time. You know how you live at a second at a time? Meaning that you can sit there and anything happens to you. But the pen pictures, politicians never just come on televisions, they go around, they try to deceive, they try to tell lies to the head of state. The situation is getting round. Babila, we are not yet there. We are even at the threshold of the most dangerous, because the type of situation that even the military themselves are in. These are surprise attacks. Even the best trained military officer will not overcome this situation. Because of what? Because we decided to put politics ahead. And if the souls of people are the mess of politics, we don't even bother about the economy of the country. 9 years or 8 years down the road, Babila, since 2016, if we were to calculate the ramifications of this war just on the economy of Cameroon, you would understand that we are losing. What about the image of the country? Some people don't know about that. And that is why you ask that question. They are saying it. And when they say it and things like this happen, you remember, if the governor of the South region had to exhume corpses somewhere at the division, that is the home of the Prime Minister. And that is the home of the Prime Minister that is at the forefront of seeking a peaceful solution to the problems of the crisis in the North and South region. But the same damn division that the Prime Minister has never been there. How can you imagine that the head of government will have military in his own region and in his own hometown? He doesn't go there. And when things like this happen, he's determined to get a solution. There is a problem. The place of any politician is his home. And when you cannot get to your home, we are cosmetic. We are blind in everything that we do. We are insensitive. We don't bother about human being again. Lives to Cameroonians has become nothing. Soldiers are falling. Amazonians are falling, or Amba, or separatists, or what terrorists they call, they're falling. And at the end of the day, we are caught in the tide. On the background wrote it, we are a reed in the tide. And the moment is now. Especially at the moment when politicians who did not, I'm not one of them, but from the surface of it and from the base of it, politicians from the North and South region, where did they get their votes to be representing the people of the North and South region? This is a zone that was disenfranchised because of the crisis. But they transfer politicians into some other regions, the elections were carried out in protest, left and right, and they decide on it, and now they praise the President of the Republic. This is the end of demagogy is now, and people should sit up. Cameroon should look at the situation in the Northwest. The great majority of the French-speaking Cameroon should look at it. I know everybody is worried. This thing is touching not only the Northwest and the Southwest, but it touches the whole of it.
The soldiers are being killed, separatist fighters being killed, civilians, I mean, people who do not belong to any of the two camps are also going down. Recently, there were 2 young men that were shot, according to our sources, in Adu village in the Northwest region by soldiers. One of them died, and it is in the course of discussions, interactions with the other person who didn't die, that the soldiers noticed that the 2 were not separatist fighters. One had already died, and there was another case of a student in Mojja who was killed in the same manner, and this continues, and the military force that is being implemented on the ground continues, despite the outcry from people like you.
But Jonathan, you got the cash from me. Jonathan, do you know they call them collateral damages? They call human beings collateral damages. You are talking about the military that opened fire on a civilian who is not a terrorist, who and a person who is a separatist fighter. And in course of discussion, we discovered that he was a peaceful Cameroonian that was going about his business. It could happen to you and I. It could happen to you maybe in course of the report. You become collateral damage today. And that is the language in our country. When it happened in Gabon, what did they say? It was collateral damages. So what we are saying is this. We have never seen a country where the military is prepared and armed to fight its own population. Chino actually said it. I'm equally a military student. No matter how strong a man is, not even the military, you cannot fight your own population. You will not fight your population. The military is good for some other things. If it were the police in the North and South that is dying today, we could give reason. This thing was from the beginning. Nobody has foreseen. But politicians, demagogues, liars, people who pass their times in Yaoundé, they don't visit their constituencies. They sit there, they get onto platforms. They want to tell you all is working. We are preparing for elections. We are doing massive registration. This is where we find ourselves. The situation in the Northwest is so precarious. The Southwest is so precarious. Jonathan, do you know that my office is opposite the camp, just above in Buya? Do you know how the military suffers? Do you know what they go through? And this is money that we have been used to build the country, to stop youth from migrating. It's not long when the whole we was traveling by youth that are leaving the country. But we are interested in a war that has no bearing, a war that is not even called for. And today, when you put that question to me, it was not only innocent people. Hundreds of thousands are out of the territory. The image of the country is going. The international community is granting temporary stay and all of that to people that are running away from war from their own country. The time now is now. I can talk to you because I do cases for the military that are committed and for the civilians, the problem of the military. I must confess that to you. And it is so bad that you find a real prepared sin by politicians because of their personal egos, because of their personal interests, because of their pockets. They set use and they are killing each other and they are living lavishly and they come and they preach demagogy. So it is wrong what is happening in our country, and time is now for us to do an adjustment. They should get a political solution to the crisis of the North and South region. It's not a military solution. This crisis did not start with somebody who carried arms in the North and South region running after the military. No barracks was burnt at the inception of this crisis. Not even a military officer, not even the police at Tiagas, lawyers, at seas, which are now was attacked. But it was followed later on with the killing of a university student in Bamenda, and all of that. And today we find ourselves hands are falling into the hands of those that are not supposed to have them. And how do they get it? Through the means that we've seen at the Mojja. These are military people that have been doing their regular duty in the Mojja as they do because that's the frontier. And what becomes of the frontiers of Cameroon? 5 million people on ground at the same time. What will happen at the borders? If there's an invading enemy, people don't think. Everything is centralized in Yaoundé. And what they say is they should swallow hook and sinker. What Yaoundé says should be swallow hook and sinker. What they decide as a solution should be their own. We are even a planet. It's unfortunate that we continue to talk about something that is not even supposed to exist. But I came to the universities in the 90s. We had our small jobs that we were throwing at each other. I lived and I worked in Yaoundé before I became a lawyer. I never had any problem with my French brothers and thereabout. The politicians have decided to pay their base by emptying youth. I destroyed a whole generation because all of those that are dying are of our generation. And politicians are aging out. And it doesn't bother them.
Last report of the United Nations Humanitarian Coordination Agency, the issue of children being deprived of education came out, and it was indicated in that report that there are still so many schools that are still closed today, that are not functioning, and many children who are being deprived of their right to education because of this situation.
Right to education is sacrosanct. Universal right. It's a right that you don't have power on it. It's an inalienable right because you and I, Babla, if we didn't go to school, we will not be able to sit here and we have this conversation, we have this discussion, we have this show. Right to education. But how does that operate within a work context? Well, how does that operate? Look at where is the military were targeted on the highway. Talk about schools in the hinterlands. You see, some of them have not even been attacked. Some have been completed by the Amazon spiders and separate spiders to their camps. Some are not even occupied. But to revamp them, it takes a lot of money. It is unfortunate that we are talking about depriving rights to education. Those that have run the internal displaced, they are struggling to feed themselves somewhere, and they cause more problems. And you can't collateral again. The collateral damage even to the communities they find themselves. But I live, I practice, I do lawyering, I do legwork, I legwork in my lawyering. I intervene in cases. And if I were to give you just the issues that internally displaced from the north and south region, some of them have here, and politicians will sit on platforms and they run their mouths and they tell you as peace is coming, some even deceive, some NGOs are feeding on them, and at the end of the day, the grass below, the children are being smashed. The children are being smashed. And what will become of our future? Because the future that the government is preaching in favor, who are we going to prepare? A good system prepares their successors. You are a man. In your house today, if you don't prepare your successor, who will succeed you? In your profession today, if you don't prepare somebody who takes over from you, who will succeed you? If I don't prepare my own successor, the system is supposed to prepare successors. But you see, it's lacking today because an animosity has been planted. There's kind of divide and rule. There are certain activities that you cannot even measure them today. I mean, people have gone out of the normal norm of the society. So when you pose these questions, I'm baffled. I'm even confused when I even give some of these answers. Because the answers are real. I don't understand. We are not a class country where everybody in the whole world who said, sit down, they should get to the table and talk. What happened between, what suddenly happened between the English-speaking community, the Southern Cameroon, the West Cameroon, and East Cameroon? What happened? That we cannot see. Now, better results were produced by our elder brothers, senior lawyers. AA2, AAC1, AAC2, when you read some of those things that were brought to the table in 1996 to come up with the Constitution, that talk about the federal system of government. What is happening? What is
almost a taboo.
Now,
about the prevailing situation, what is your perception of the fact that in this volatile situation, administrative authorities are giving injunctions, giving ultimatums to civil servants to go back to their duty post for those who have abandoned their duty post because of the security instability? The most recent came from the division officer of Nous, who is telling civil servants, go back to your duty post or you will be sanctioned. Disciplinary measures will be taken against you. Now the question is, should they put their lives on the line?
But what is good for the goose should always be good for the gander. If I were to prefer a solution to the state of Cameroon, which is an impossible solution to what you are saying, it would be that all the administrators of Cameroon should be removed to the northwest and southwest region to face the heat that the other, especially teachers, are facing. It would appear the teachers have been targeted. The teachers in particular have been targeted. The administrators, they have armored soldiers, they have soldiers, they sleep well in friends' houses, and this is what we are talking about. In a country where you preach peace, you must preach justice, and you must preach equality. A teacher has the right to his own security, just like the civil administrator. This is where it hurts that somebody in the name of a civil administrator is an impossibility. He sends you to the forefront. How does that occur? If you are doing that with the necessary security measures, if these schools were manned by military forces, you could understand that. But when you hear some of these things, it only translates the fact that
between the school and their homes,
yes,
anything can happen. Be accompanied by
that is a situation.
3, 4, 5 soldiers.
So when you see them, they are helpless. Such communities are coming from administrators that are helpless. They just want to please the only. They just want the only people here that are taking some measures. They know those are dead measures from the beginning. That dead from the passion. Because how would you justify the fact that even as a civil administrator with your own security, you are not safe? It's not law. Administrator was ignored. this thing is touching not only the Northwest and the Southwest, but it touches the whole of the nation.
The soldiers are being killed, separatist fighters being killed, civilians, I mean, people who do not belong to any of the two camps are also going down. Recently, there were 2 young men that were shot, according to our sources, in Ajun village in the northwest region by soldiers. One of them died, and it is in the course of discussions, interactions with the other person who didn't die, that the soldiers noted that the 2 were not separatist fighters. One had already died, and there was another case of a student in Boya who was killed in the same manner, and it continues. And the military force that is being implemented on the ground continues, despite the outcry from people like you.
But Jonathan, you got the catch from me. Jonathan, do you know they call them collateral damages? They call human beings collateral damages. You are talking about a military that opened fire on a civilian who is not a terrorist or an ambassador or a separatist fighter. And in course of discussion, they discovered that he was a peaceful commoner who was about his business. It could happen to you and I. It could happen to you maybe in course of your report. You become collateral damage today. And that is the language in our country. When it happened in Kabul, what did they say? It was collateral damages. So what we are saying is this. We have never seen a country where the military is prepared and armed to fight its own population. Chino actually said it. And he called it a military student. No matter how strong a man is, not even the military, you cannot fight your own population. You will not fight your population. The military is good for some other things. If it were the police in the north and south that is dying today, we could give a reason. This thing was from the beginning. Nobody has foreseen that politicians, demagogues, liars, people who pass their times in Yaoundé, they don't visit their constituencies. They sit there, they get on the platforms, they want to tell all is working, we are preparing for elections, we are doing massive registration. This is where we find ourselves. The situation in the northwest is so precarious. The south is so precarious. Jonathan, do you know that my office is opposite the camp? Just above the battlefield in Ebola? Do you know how the military suffers? Do you know what they go through? And this is money that would have been used to build the country, to stop youth from migrating. It's not long when the whole world was crowded by youth that are leaving the country. But we are interested in a war that has no bearing, a war that is not even called for. And today, when you put that question to me, it is not only innocent people. Hundreds of thousands are out of the territory. The image of the country is going. The international community is granting temporal stay and all of that to people that are running away from war from their own country. The time now is now. I can talk to you because I do cases for the military that are committed and for the civilians before the military. I need to tell you, I must confess that to you. And it is so bad that you find a real prepared sin by politicians because of their personal egos, because of their personal interests, because of their pockets. They set use and they are killing each other and they are living lavishly and they come and they preach demagogy. So it is wrong that's happening in our country, and time is now for us to do an adornment. They should get a political solution to the crisis of the northwest and southwest region. It's not a military solution. This crisis did not start with somebody who carried arms in the northwest and southwest region running after the military. No barrack was burnt at the inception of this crisis. Not even a military officer, not even the police, that tear gas, lawyers, that seized next ground was attacked. But it was followed later on with the killing of a university student in Bamina, and all of that. And today we find ourselves, arms are falling into the hands of those that are supposed to have them. And how do they kill it? Through the means that we've seen at the Mojja. These are military people that have been doing their regular duty in the Mojja as they do because that's the frontier. And what becomes of the frontiers of Cameroon? 5 military people on ground at the same time. What will happen at the borders? If there is an invading enemy, people don't think. Everything is centralized in Yaoundé. And what they say is they should swallow hook and sinker. What Yaoundé says should be swallow hook and sinker. What they decide as a solution should be their own. We are even a planet. It's unfortunate that we continue to talk about something that is not even supposed to exist. I came to the university in the 90s. We had our small jobs that we were throwing at each other. I lived and I worked in Yaoundé before I became a lawyer. I never had any problem with my French brothers and thereabout. The politicians have decided to build their base by emptying youth, by destroying a whole generation, because all of those that are dying are of our generation. And politicians are aging out, and it doesn't bother them.
The last report of the United Nations Humanitarian Coordination Agency, the issue of children being deprived of education came out, and it was indicated in that report that there are still so many schools that are still closed today, that are not functioning, and many children who are being deprived of their right to education because of this situation.
Right to education, sacrosanct, universal right. It's a right that you don't tamper with it. It's an inalienable right, because you and I, if we didn't go to school, we're not able to sit here and we have this conversation, we have this discussion, we have this show. Right to education. But how does that operate within the war context? How does that operate? Look at where the military were targeted on the highway. Talk about schools in the hinterlands. You see, some of them have not even been attacked. Some have been completed by the ambassador fighters and separatist fighters to their camps. Some are not even occupied. But to revamp them, it takes a lot of money. It is unfortunate that we are talking about depriving rights to education. Those that have run the internal displaced, they are struggling to feed themselves somewhere, and they cause more product, and they become collateral again. Collateral damage into the communities they find themselves. I live, I practice, I do lawyering, I leg work in my lawyering. I intervene in cases. And if I were to give you those the issues that internally displays from northwest and southwest region, some of them have here, and politicians will sit on platforms and they run their mouths and they tell you as peace is coming. Some even deceive. Some NGOs are feeding on them, and at the end of the day, the grass below, the children are being smashed. The children are being smashed. And what will become of our future? Because the future that the government is preaching in favor, who are we going to prepare? A good system prepares their successors. Jonathan, you are a man. In your house today, if you don't prepare your successor, who will succeed you? In your profession today, if you don't prepare somebody who takes over from you, who will succeed you? If I don't prepare my own successor, the system is supposed to prepare successors. But you see, it's lacking today because animosity has been planted. There's kind of divide and rule. There are certain activities that you cannot even measure them today. I mean, people have gone out of the normal norm of society. So when you pose these questions, I'm baffled. I'm even confused when I even give some of these answers. Because the answers are real. I don't understand. We are not a class country where everybody in the whole world will sit down, they should get to the table and talk. What happened between the West Cameroon and the West Cameroon? and East Cameroon. What happened? But we cannot see. Now, better results were produced by our elder brothers, senior lawyers. AA2, AA1, AC2, when you read some of those things that were brought to table in 1996 to come up with a constitution, they have talked about a federal system of government. What is happening?
Almost a taboo. Now, about the prevailing situation, what is your perception of the fact that in this volatile situation, administrative authorities are giving injunctions, giving ultimatums to civil servants to go back to their duty posts, or those who have abandoned their duty posts because of the security instability? The most recent came from the...
What will happen at the borders if there is something, if there is an invading enemy? People don't think. Everything is centralized in Yaoundé, and what they say is they should swallow hook and sinker. What Yaoundé says should be swallowed hook and sinker. What they decide as a solution should be their own. We are even a planet. It's unfortunate that we continue to talk about something that is not even supposed to exist, Babila. I came to the universities in the 90s. We had our small jabs that we were throwing at each other. I lived and I worked in Yaoundé before I became a lawyer. I never had any problem with my French brothers and thereabout. But politicians have decided to build their base by emptying youth, by destroying a whole generation, because all of those that are dying are of our generation. And politicians are aging out, and it doesn't bother them.
The last report of the United Nations Humanitarian Coordination Agency, the issue of children being deprived of education came out, and it was indicated in that report that there are still so many schools that are still closed to today, that are not functioning, and many children who have been deprived of their right to education because of this situation.
Right to education, sacrosanct, universal right. It's a right that you don't tamper on it. It's an inalienable right, because you and I, Babila, if we didn't go to school, we'll not be able to sit here and we have this conversation, we have this discussion, we have this show. Right to education. But how does that operate within a war context? How does that operate? Look at where the military were targeted on the highway. Talk about schools in the hinterlands. You see, some of them have not even been attacked. Some have been converted by the Ambazonan fighters and separatist fighters to their camps. Some are not even occupied. But to revamp them, it takes a lot of money. It is unfortunate that we are talking about depriving rights to education. Those that have run, like internally displaced, they are struggling to feed themselves somewhere, and they cause more problems. And they become collateral again, collateral damage even to the communities they find themselves. Babila, I live, I practice, I do lawyering, I do leg work in my lawyering. I intervene in cases. And if I were to give you just the issues that internally displaced from the Northwest and Southwest region, some of them have here, and politicians will sit on platforms and they run their mouths and they're telling you as peace is coming. Some even deceive. Some NGOs are feeding on them, and at the end of the day, the grass below, the children are being smashed. The children are being smashed. And what will become of our future? Because the future that the government is preaching in favor, who are we going to prepare? A good system prepares their successors. Babila Jonathan, you are a man. In your house today, if you don't prepare your successor, who will succeed you? In your profession today, if you don't prepare somebody who takes over from you, who will succeed you? If I don't prepare my own successor, the system is supposed to prepare successors. But you see, it's lacking today because animosity has been planted. There is kind of divide and rule. There are certain activities that you cannot even measure them today. I mean, people have gone out of the normal norm of the society. So, when you pose these questions, I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I'm even confused when I even give some of these answers, because the answers are real. I don't understand. We are not a class country where everybody in the whole world will say, sit down, they should get to the table and talk. What suddenly happened between the English-speaking community, the then Southern Cameroons and the West Cameroons? and East Cameroon. What happened, Jonathan, that we cannot sit? We have better results that were produced by our elder brothers, senior lawyers. AA2, AAC1, AAC2, when you read some of those things that were brought to table in 1996 to come up with a constitution, they had talked about a federal system of government. What is happening? Politicians.
It has become almost a taboo.
And from the beginning of this crisis, it was a taboo.
Now, about the prevailing situation, what is your perception of the fact that in this volatile situation, administrative authorities are giving injunctions, giving ultimatums to civil servants to go back to their duty post for those who have abandoned their duty post because of the security instability? The most recent came from the division officer of Nous, who is telling civil servants, go back to your duty post or you will be sanctioned. Measures, disciplinary measures will be taken against you. Now the question is, should they put their lives on the line?
But Babila, what is good for the goose should always be good for the gander. If I were to prefer a solution to the state of Cameroon, which is an impossible solution to what you are saying, it will be that all the administrators of Cameroon should be removed to the northwest and the southwest region to face the heat that the other, especially teachers, are facing. It would appear the teachers have been targeted. It appears teachers in particular have been targeted.
Those administrators have
the administrators,
military vehicles,
they have armored vehicles,
soldiers protecting
they have
them.
soldiers, they sleep well in fenced houses, and this is what we are talking, Babla. In a country where you preach peace, you must preach justice and you must preach equality. A teacher has the right to his own security, just like the civil administrator. This is where it hurts that somebody in the name of a civil administrator, he sees an impossibility. He sends you to the forefront. How does that occur? If you are doing that with the necessary security measures, if these schools were manned by military forces, you could understand that. But when you hear some of these things, it only translates the fact that
between the school and their homes,
yes,
will
anything can
civil
happen
servant be accompanied by
that is the situation.
3, 4, 5 soldiers and so on.
So when you see them, they are helpless. Such communiques are coming from administrators that are helpless. They just want to please Yaoundé. They just want Yaoundé to hear that they are taking some measures. They know those are dead measures from the beginning. They are dead from departure. Because how would you justify the fact that even as a civil administrator with your own security, you are not safe? It's not long. An administrator was kidnapped in Donga and Mantung division. They said he came out after some hours. How was he kidnapped despite the security that he had? What about a teacher? I will not even call, I don't want to call it. What about teachers? And you know where the schools are found. So when we talk about injunctions that are being given, instead of giving injunctions, Jonathan, these injunctions should be transformed into a peace talk, a peace and reconciliation talk between the belligerents, not politicians. We should call the Anglophones or the English-speaking community that have nothing to do with politics in this country to talk, because politicians have never spoken for them.
Especially those who are asking for...
we should call the Naira 10. They should call Ayuk Tabi and his team that they purported he is the person that carried arms from the beginning. He is the person that preached an armed conflict. And they brought him into Cameroon. And they began talking to him at volley. They struggled again. And today, even the people that attempted to talk with him are his co-inmates in Konegi. Why can't they not bring out Ayuk Tabi, the voice of Ayuk Tabi, and those they brought from Nigeria? Because they said these were the ringleaders. Today it has taken dimensions. They confuse it. The government knows exactly where that's the solution of this problem is, Babylon. Instead of getting into cosmetic solutions or struggling to think that the solution is in space or it is in another planet, even though we are another one, they should get these people. They should get onto a talking table. And if the system wants to talk to them, they should forget about politicians. I'm saying that the head of state, if you could hear me, it is my prayer, Mr. Head of State, call Ayub Tabi and his team and create your own independent commission that does not constitute politicians from the Northwest and Southwest region. It could be independent people from the Northwest and Southwest region, not politicians. And time is now to involve everybody, even what they call the national dialogue.
All right, I want us to go to the newsstands now, and we're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. We'll be right back after the press review. Municipal Update reports that Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute has praised the contribution of the Anglican Church to national development. That was during an audience at the Star Building. The paper highlights the call on Christians to massively register on the electoral register by the moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba. Such calls are considered by the Minister of Territorial Administration as a way of forcing citizens to register. The Median quotes Minister Paul Atanganji saying registration is not by force. Larry Times reports that the Social Democratic Front SDF National Chairman Honorable O.C. Joshua says the SDF is capable of resolving the Anglophone crisis in 100 days. He said this during his maiden visit as SDF National Chairman to Bamenda. Eco Outlook reports funding for about 80,000 cocoa and coffee farmers to boost the sector. On the front page of Municipal Update, Cameroon and Congo set the Mbalam Nabeba Iron Ore project in motion to boost sub-regional integration. The Guardian Post says both nations are taking the iron ore project to the next level. Another issue of the paper tells its readers that Cameroon's extractive industry's potential is attracting more global mining experts and investors. In the same vein, Cameroon Tribune underscores the attractiveness of Cameroon's extractive industries sector. In another issue of Cameroon Tribune, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute evaluates preparations for the May 20 National Day. Yet another issue of the National Day reports that preparations for the 2024 National Day are well on course. The Horizon exclaims, road maintenance. 3 Cameroonian firms secured 29 billion contract. Cameroon echoes at 2023 Administrative and Management Accounts session. Isangele councillors applaud Mayor Magdalene Pondi for excellent execution of development projects. You're welcome back. Barrister Nicodemus AMUNGWA. Recently, one of the sensationist leaders abroad in the diaspora, Capo Daniel, sent out a release calling for arms to go down, calling for a ceasefire. What do you think about that?
Well, Babila, if somebody talks about ceasefire, it's a welcome relief. But this person is talking from where? Let me tell you something. I said the state of Cameroon functions in a very funny manner. We have a crisis in Cameroon. We have lawyers in Cameroon that began the crisis and teachers that began the crisis. For God's sake, how did we find ourselves with some people, you call them separatist fighters abroad, who are not feeling the heat? And government drags the attention of the international community abroad to give the impression that somebody is sponsoring the crisis from abroad. Inasmuch as the state of Cameroon calls this an internal affair, I don't think we should be talking about foreign intervention. If Capo Daniel talks about a ceasefire, he should specify and from where he's talking. And it is the government of Cameroon that has fed these people. And they become now part of the party that they think that they should discuss with them. If the government of Cameroon could work out a plan to abduct Ayub Tabe and others, I call it abduction. Internationally, the law did not permit them to do that. Because there's no extradition treaty between these two countries. Again, Ayuk and the rest were working in Nigeria. Some, they had asylum status. They were even sentenced with those status. They had refugees and asylum status. But a country that has ratified international instruments does that. What do you expect? So when you are talking about the diaspora, somebody is talking from the diaspora. This is a way of shifting. We are shifting from the origin. If all the lawyers are running to the diaspora, and we're talking about the ceasefire today, or teachers are running to the diaspora, because these are those that raise pertinent issues, issues that have to impact positively to the development of Cameroon. If not, if you calculate the number of French-speaking children or origin that do English education today. And what did the teachers stand for? They stood for the fact that English, the Anglo-Saxon education shouldn't be diluted. What did they stand for? They stood for justice. Because once the judiciary is tampered, because we have two systems operating under a single system or a single government. We have the common law and now we have the civil law. Well identified. And the ways of doing things are not the same. And when lawyers said, the number of magistrates you send to this region, they cannot dispense justice, which will be seen to have been dispensed. Because you go to the Northwest, you dispense justice in French, you use your civil law approach to maybe to administer justice, and at the end of the day, your judge, even the judgment that comes out, you start appealing and going to places, even some of the words that are used there. To get a solution to this was simple. The lawyer said they should create a law school. They said they created a common law department at the NAM. Under the common law system, they don't know about lawyers that, what are judges that are trained in a certain school. Lawyers are integrated into the judiciary. You are a practicing lawyer, you practice for a number of years, and you attain that level, you choose to become a magistrate or a judge.
That request for a law school is still on the table.
The request of the law school is still them up there, and the politician would have been enjoying the advantages of holding the two systems together. This was not done. The teacher said, no, we cannot fuse the two systems. They said, no, they are terrorists. And at the end of the day, where do we find ourselves, Babila? And they shifted to the diaspora. We are asking the question, Babila. I sitting in front of you, you know the wars that have fought in the country. You know I was pointed by a lawyer, and I was not even doing a case related to the crisis, doing a case that had to do with the land matter. But a lawyer, a colleague lawyer, pointed at me. And I had to spend 10 days as said. I had to spend 10 days as said. And do you know what they accused me of? That I was filming the edifices of the groupement de gendarmerie in Yaoundé in order to send it to be bombed. And that I'm a secessionist. Babila, who is a secessionist? Please, I think Cameroonians should come back to their senses. We love this country more than those that we are calling there in the diaspora, or the politicians that are gallivanting here, telling the head of state different stories. We should get neutral people from the Northwest and the Southwest region to sit down.
On a negotiation table.
Yes.
Right. Talking about this issue of a negotiated settlement or negotiation between the government and the Anglophone leaders. What is the state of mind of Sisiko, Ayuk Tabe, Mancho, BBC, Penn Terence, and all the rest, who are the leaders that you are defending? What is their state of mind today? Are they ready for this kind of negotiation?
Babila, I would tell you, and I'll still continue to tell you, if you call me even at midnight, get me out of sleep. Ayuk Tabe has never been against a negotiable settlement. But he posed conditions. And those conditions at the time were helpful even to government. To tell you, Ayuk had asked that they should ask for a unilateral ceasefire. Both belligerents should put down their arms. They should release all those that have been arrested within the context of the crisis, and that they should get a neutral body. We should get somebody neutral, a mediator, and at the end of the day, it could walk out of this country. But they tell you it's an internal affair. But they took Ayuk Tabe to Mvolie. Ayuk Tabe did not refuse. Have you ever asked the question? Mvolie, he was taken to Mvolie when they started pre-talks. He was removed from his cell with part of his Etat Major, and they went to Mvolie. And during that period, it was the Director General of the External Research, DGRE, Maxime Eko. He attended that meeting. They were going to talk about a way forward. And today, if you ask Ayuk Tabe, the conditions are still very alive.
What hindered the progress of the discussions? Is it the conditions?
The conditions? I wouldn't tell you. If I should tell you that the conditions, nobody came out. Because the Minister of Communication, like I should tell you, a man that we respect in this country, because he worked under the two regimes. We knew Minister Rene Sadi, Minister of Communication, to be one of the finest. He is one of those that went on air and debunked that there was no meeting between the government and separatist leaders. So who is saying what, and who pulled out Ayuk Tabe? Because in order to remove prisoners from the prison to another ground, there is supposed to be due process. You have to sign what we call a production warrant. If we go back to the archives of the prisons today and of the courts, we should find out what was the motive of producing Ayuk Tabe and some of his colleagues arrested in Nigeria to Mvolie on this date. So, you think that the minister to have come out, a minister of communication, to be talking about such things, the same as it happened in Canada, the same minister of communication debunked it. So, Babila, even foreign partners, they are overwhelmed because you don't trust who is who in the country. It seems as if some people deliberately will not want this thing to end. And let me tell you, Babila, as I'm going to end on that, it has become an economic venture for some people. No. It is maintaining some people in their post. It is giving money to some of them. They get their money. You know the amount of money that exchange has in the war zone. It's become an economic war.
In the midst of the crisis, you and Barrister Thankful Richard have been fighting for the prosecution of a now former B soldier, or soldier of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, and traditional ruler in the Southwest Region, Chief Ewume John, popularly known as Mojja, for some of the actions that he undertook under the pretext of fight against cessationists and so on. And now the coordinator, the general coordinator of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, has decided to send him out of that elite unit of the Defense and Security Forces back to the infantry. What do you think about this recent development?
Well, Babila, I would want to tell you that I wish to.
Why have you been fighting for the prosecution of Mojja in the first place?
Well, I'll start off by praising the coordinator of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, because his actions are going to help a lot of people in the country to see the double face of the elite, the double face of the politicians, the double face of those who think that they love Cameroon more than others. Immediately after that action, before I come back to the efforts that we've made in order to get Mojja being prosecuted for acts committed flagrant delicto with all the administrators of the Southwest region, especially those of the military tribunal, they sit and they cross their arms, with the Procurator General of the Southwest region sitting to cross his arms, seeing an individual killed, maimed, and he walks on corpses, and there is public clamor. They celebrate him. He sleeps in his palace. He has an armory in his palace. He goes about with long guns without his uniform. He gets into bars with his gun. He is almighty. So Babylon, like I said, the action or the decision of the general coordinator is welcome, and it is going to help the head of state. The president must have been missing out on so many things, because through his action, Mojja has been able to spill out the beans. The first question you asked, Babila, before this time, who posted Mojja to the Southwest region? Who posted him to the Southwest region, especially in Buea? Who was arming him officially to be causing the atrocities in the Southwest region? Questions to be answered. Who was the person instructing him to have a whole armory in his compound, or in his chiefdom? Who is the person who was commanding him to have his own private militia? He works about with his own people. He calls it self-defense group. So when you look at that, in a country where military intelligence at a time of crisis is supposed to be a rare ingredient, it's supposed to be something that you have to put every force together, and an individual takes upon himself, and he calls himself a citizen of a particular region and a particular town, and he passes and he is in for xenophobic activities, and the elite watch at him, the authorities watch at him. Today the general coordinator of B has come to put an end to it, and I guess so many people shall be questioned in this country. So many, even the elite, the political elite of the Southwest, they must pay a brunt to that, because we've lived in a country where peace has been reigning, but because of the crisis, some people want to paint some black, some people want to become angels, whereas they are part and parcel of the play.
He says that he has been excluded from the Rapid Intervention Battalion and sent back to the infantry because some persons contacted him, some top military officials wanted him to join a team to organize a coup d'etat.
Babila, I've never heard, even up to now, it's gone viral on the social media, and that AMUNGWA, a lawyer who sits on your platform, still sees Mojja free and going about his business. This is untold, this is unheard. Just to have an idea, according
He refused to yield to that kind of proposal.
Coup d'etat. You know what a coup d'etat means, Babila? It is more than the crisis that is taking place in the Northwest and the Southwest region. It embraces the whole of the country. It touches on everything that has to do with the country. Just in contemplation, Babila, just in contemplation, the Ministry Justice Code will tell you. It implies that Mojja comes out clearly, and he tells you he's been in for serious treasonable offenses that people have been watching and celebrating him. It is treasonable, Babila, just to contemplate a coup d'etat. And do you know the sanction for that? The punishment is the death penalty. Another one is collusion or colluding with the enemy of the state. Those that he is purporting or alleging, he does not even allege, he affirms, and he says he's going to give the names. Do you know what it means according to the Military Justice Code? Colluding with the enemy of the state. That is the offense. It is equally a death penalty. Again, Mojja, we've seen people transported in trucks from Nkambe, from far remote areas from the northwest to come and answer questions at the military tribunal in Yaoundé that they did not report. Mojja failed to report. And Mojja has come out. And we expect that the chiefs should be home. Yes, because we are equally coming out. Yes, like now. Lawyers who want peace in the country, we are coming out to, like a lawyer. I should talk to myself because I'll come back to what the efforts that we made to prosecute him. We are equally using this platform to denounce Mojja because in as much as we don't have peace in the northwest and the southwest region, Mojja is preparing people to be sleepless. Mojja has murdered the sleep of all Cameroonians. It means nobody will sleep because Babila, when they say there's an imminent coup d'etat in a country, just imagine. I mean, it was yesterday or day before. There was the whole of the Obili era was surrounded, and the majority of them were Anglophones. We had to spend close to about half of our day struggling to intervene, struggling to talk to people that arrested them, struggling to make, and all of that. And somebody sits in Buya, and he tells you he has people that are going to overthrow the President of the Republic. This is an anathema.
He said there are people who want to
organize, and they wanted him to be part of it. I have said again, Babila,
and he refused.
I have said, and I repeat again, just to contemplate a coup d'etat according to the military norms. Contemplating, I mean, just to think once it is sensed, Babila. But he comes again to tell us exactly what the intelligence of this country has gone up to. If Mojja could voice that, we'll be asking, what is the military security doing in Buya? What is the external research doing? And again, if Mojja could voice it in the southwest region, and in a crisis region where Mojja is fighting people he called terrorists from the northwest region, at the end of the day, who tells you that Mojja, even his own militia that he called auto-defense are not the people he was going to use. When you contemplate that, how could he talked about colonels? You should call their names. He said certain colonels came to him and he said, and he even went far to tell the President of the Republic not to be afraid of anything, and that people should vote in order to, so that they should change the government. I don't know whether Mojja picked up a political party, a card of a political party. And you know, with the advent of the social media, and with the impunity, and with the deadly politicians that we have in our country, they allow Mojja. There's a commission that was created in this country. The Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and whatever multiculturalism. One of their mission was to fight hate speech. But behold, Buya became the epicenter of hate speech. This commission has not been able to bring out concrete solutions to it. And they allow Mojja, he gallavants, he is there, he does his things like a film star, and people watch at him. So, Babila, like you called me. Like you called my attention to the fact that I am Barrister Tamfo, and I used the opportunity to greet him. We had filed complaints, and we had documented all the atrocities of Mojja, even against lawyers, with Barrister Tamfo being one of the victims. We had documented everything. Even lawyers, Mojja had went on social media, said lawyers are fit, some of the lawyers are fit to be fed with the bones of the his dogs in his chiefdom. Lawyers, we could not cross our arms. I in particular, I fight for rights. So we documented everything. We had fight at the military tribunal Yaoundé because we knew in Buya the people were already complacent. Because I can only call the governor and the procureur general, all the administrators, especially the commissaire de government, that is the state prosecutor, they're complacent, and the legion commander that will be coming to. So what happened? We filed a complaint, documented, and we filed to the military tribunal Yaoundé. It was sent to Service Central de Recherche Judiciaire of SED, which is the service that has been handling issues relating to this crisis since the advent of the crisis. The file did not go through. We came back. We filed at that service itself, and we ensured that we followed the file. That file was duly transferred to the Legion Commander of the Southwest region with instructions, and the Legion Commander took it. My colleague Barrister Tamfo visited him once, and he placed his own situation. These are acts of flagrant delicto that even the Legion Commander was supposed to have acted before they brought the complaint. When Barrister Tamfo appeared before him, he started placing conditions. He said Barrister Tamfo should be the person to go and fish people from left and right to bring, but Barrister Tamfo was one of the victims. So we are saying that there's a lot of complacency, and some people keep their post, and they think that they want to divide and rule. And that is what Mojja had been perpetrating in the northwest and south, whether in the southwest region.
What has happened to the file? What has happened to the file?
No, we have been pressing on the file. We've been pressing on the file, but the Legion Commander, that is not the only file that is lying in the southwest region that we are pressing, and they don't want to unshare the files. We have the file of Ngule Linus, a university student that was abducted from his room a few minutes after. He was beaten, and the minister actually, we followed the case minutiously, and the minister issued orders. The military tribunal gave orders. But behold, Babila, do you know that some military personnel from what unit I will not want to call here, they went and removed, and they went and conducted autopsy on that corpse without the family members? The file is still lying there. Do you know that there is a mortuary in the southwest region? They pretend that it's a government mortuary. We dragged with that unit, with Semil, and up to today, that matter has never gone. We seized the minister of health to tell him about this, the complicity of that mortuary in Buya, and he sent the case to the regional delegate of the southwest region. Nothing has been done about it. So, where are we? If people are not enjoying what is happening in the northwest and southwest region, and they want to turn the face of Cameroon to the diaspora and begin to talk about a situation that can be solved at home.
Let's take some interviews, and we'll continue to talk about the massive registration of potential voters going on in the country, and the reaction of the Minister of Territorial Administration, who is being interpreted as attempting to disrupt or interrupt the ongoing voter registration momentum. Interviews of the week.
I read the communique or the deal of a new subdivision with a lot of dismay and regret, given the fact that the rate of insecurity within Nous and some of these areas in the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon that has been undergoing arms conflict for about 7 years now are still unstable, given the high insecurity rate that still prevails in so much of this area. Because you might note that this is not the first time we are having such a communique, because about some years back, the SDO of AMUNGWA did the same, especially for teachers, and went ahead suspending the teachers or the salaries for some teachers in these areas, though the Minister of Secondary Education later on came out with a communique saying that he wasn't aware of such things. But the behavior is just as if the government careless about, or the administration careless about the lives of workers in times of armed conflict, because most of these administrators writing this document are well secured wherever they are, and they move about with the security men protecting them. But most of these teachers and ordinary workers within different administrative services in these areas does not have security at all. So the government need to take that into consideration. It's either they make sure that this other civil servants in this area, all civil servants in this area are well secured by performing their duties, or they do everything possible to ensure that we have peace in this area for them to go back to their services, because most of them have abandoned their services, not because they don't want to work, but simply because they are unable to perform their duty because of the rate of insecurity. We are all aware of the regular kidnapping of civil servants in some of these parts of the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon for performing their duties. So I think the communique, the DO of Nous is being unreasonable in his communique. At least they ought to have talked to the government of Cameroon, or they should tell the government exactly the situation on the ground and advise for us to have a peace in this area so that these teachers can go back to their duties without any major problem. Because it is inadmissible that teachers are forced to put their lives in danger because they want to render their services. It's true that they are being paid for, but they cannot risk their lives because, to that extent, knowing very well the high rate of insecurity that still prevails in most of these parts of the Anglophone regions of Cameroon.
The calm is coming up, the time where the population of Kumbo and Bui division at large is yearning for the return of peace and normalcy. So this calm, once more, is an assurance of the fact that their security is being taken into account by the state.
I'm telling the soldiers that they are here, the center of gravity of their work is the population. So they are here to serve the population, to protect the population, not serving themselves, but serving the population, so that the link between the army and nation will be really materialized here in Bui division.
I have farms I have abandoned. Meanwhile, I depend on agriculture for survival. I hope this new camp represents hope, such that I can go back to my farms.
I read with a lot of dismay a write-up by municipal update reporting on what the public independent conciliator in Mojja addressed to the head of state concerning the management of the Kumba City Council. I think those are blatant lies. Blatant lies because the independent conciliator is in Mojja, and who is not supposed to mingle with politics. But that is exactly what she's doing. I know that people are trying to blackmail the city mayor in order to gain cheap popularity. Our city mayor is a man of the people, loved by the people, and is doing formidably well so far as the management of the city council is concerned. We have the construction of our new council edifice going on. We have the pavement of roads currently going on, and many other projects which I cannot enumerate here. Why do they want to bring down this man's image? A man who is loved by the people, the man who is cherished by the people. I think we have to wait until the time comes, because we are facing elections very soon. And I think it is but abnormal that people should want to denigrate this hard-working city mayor.
The development I see going on in Kumba are such that will raise Kumba to a high height. And whatever people are saying, that the city mayor is not doing anything, is all false. And I think they should not tarnish the image of a man who has been struggling to see that Kumba develops, Kumba gains a new facelift in the whole Republic. A lot of developments going on. We can see from the roads. We can see in the market. We can see even the developments they have been doing all over. Everything is visible, visible, visible. And so whatever statements are being made against him, those statements are false.
Thank you for staying with us. We are still with our guest, Barrister Nicodemus AMUNGWA TANYI, who is the lawyer, one of the lawyers of detainees of the Anglophone crisis, head of the media team for the defense of detained Anglophone leaders and hundreds of persons detained in connection to the Anglophone crisis. Barrister, I want us to talk about the ongoing massive registration exercise across the country ahead of the 2025 elections, while political parties, notably those of the opposition, are canvassing for registration, urging and encouraging Cameroonians to go out massively and register. And while they are doing so, the Minister of Territorial Administration sees that as a way of forcing citizens to go and register. And he says that registration is not by force. In other words, what the political parties, what the militants and the officials are doing is violating the rights of the citizens to choice, to choose whether to register or not. You are a human right expert. You are a legal mind. Where is the violation in what the political parties are doing, in the mobilization that they are doing?
Well, Babila, thank you very much for putting that question. And from the angle of a lawyer, what the law does not prohibit is allowable. What the law does not prohibit is allowable. The law has never said that people should not tell people to register. And we've lived in Cameroon where we've even seen some other parties, I'm a political, we've seen some other parties go right up to the extent of contributing money to issue identity cards to persons in order to facilitate their registration into the electoral register. When I get this from the Minister of Territorial Administration, I can only call this digression. You know, when the crisis started in the Northwest and the Southwest region, they were on it. And you see, the coffee season for politicians is about to come. So, having missed out on the crisis, they now want to capture the attention of maybe their political leaders to say, we are working for you. It's pure digression for the minister to go out and say people shouldn't be forced. And I don't think somebody was forced. Babila, it's good manner, civic responsibility is good manner that if I'm going out, if Elekam is down the stairs here and I'm going down, I say, but please, have you registered? The law does not say that if I tell you it becomes an issue. So it is pure digression. That is the only thing that I can tell you. The law has never forbidden somebody. And for the minister to extrapolate up to the level of saying that they are violating their rights. Which rights are they violating? What is the right that they are violating? I don't see the right that they are violating. Because there is no law, even the electoral law. The code does not even talk about people. Everybody should encourage others even to register. Because
but the activity or the action of registering or going to register your name on the electoral list and even going to vote is a matter of will. It's a matter of individual will. You deciding to go or not to go. That's where the minister is raising his point. That when people begin to do a lot of campaigning and telling people go out and register, and even we have seen some videos where people are being conditioned to have a bite, to eat something, to do one or two things by their having a voter's card or not.
Babila, the minister should not be hurt. It is what has been happening time immemorial under this same regime. It is not the other person giving a bite today that means that the person has committed an offense. I'm still saying that what the law does not prohibit is allowable. And I told you, Babila, I'm a journalist, you know. We've covered events where people contributed money. Militants contributed money. I don't want to call names of parties here. To do identity cards for people in order to get them registered and in doing that, didn't they give them bites? They gave them bites. So what are we saying today? We are only saying that it is a good game. And if people could register, they should allow them to register, because we believe, and it's being widely said by the regime, that the only way that we can take over power in our country is through the ballot paper. We accept Mojja that is insinuating his coup d'etat with some people that told him before they sacked him. We think that change should come through the ballot box. And everybody is expecting. And anybody who is not talking about a coup d'etat, like Mojja, but he is instead talking about people to go and register, don't you think that that person is doing good to the nation? I think the idea is not a bad one. And when you talk about prohibition or giving people something, parties have been giving. I'm a politician, I don't want to be talking. But you want to say that we don't know that CPDM is giving, we have social media stuff here with people with sardines and bread left and right. So we are not for the fact that the minister should be saying that people's rights are violated. The minister should be calm and do his own. I'm just saying that it's digression. We have moved from the crisis that we are unable today to handle. We are getting to the political season, which is their coffee season. Everybody wants to retain his portfolio. Some people want to become parliamentarians. Some think they are going to lose, especially those of the Northwest and the Southwest region. Because if you ask them today, account for your belonging to in government, they will not have anything to show. No. And nobody challenges me on that, because most of them live out of their constituency. They don't have a caucus.
Now, as a Cameroonian, do you think that this ongoing massive registration campaign can unleash something, can trigger the process of change that all Cameroonians are looking at? Because when you talk to Cameroonians today, especially young people, if you talk to 10 Cameroonians, at least 9, not to say 9.5, will tell you we want change. We want another leader. We want a young person to take over. Do you think, as a Cameroonian looking at the way things are going, that change can come through this?
No, Babila, this is politics. And I told you, I try to be very careful to answer questions like that. If it is change could still be from the ruling party. So the only issue is that we need to get to a situation where people vote is transparent, they defend it, and the results are free, fair, and transparent. That's all that I can tell you. Change is not all about here. The people should speak, and they can only speak through the ballot. And to speak through the ballot, if you are yearning for change in politics, it is the ballot paper, not a gun, not to be dismissed from maybe or sent back to the infantry to start insinuating coup d'etats like my friend Mojja of the Southwest region.
Before we go, let me get your opinion on this. There are many who now think that if there were to be an Anglophone leader, an Anglophone president in this country today, it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to also bring some kind of appeasement with regards to the issues in the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country. What's your opinion about that?
But that should be through the ballot box, because it's not a negotiated issue. In 1990, Fundi came closer. If not, he crossed the line. I was a young student in the university, the 92s. So nothing has ever stopped an Anglophone from being a president of this country. I don't think so. Because if you are into politics, you must know what you are doing. You must know where you're going to. And you can only fulfill your dream, and you can only achieve in politics when you end up ruling a country. So, saying that getting an Anglophone president to change the situation in the Northwest and the Southwest region, I don't believe in that, because first of all, what is going to happen in the Northwest and the Southwest? Will people have the free movement to go vote? Will people not be disenfranchised because of the war? Latest information and what you see trading on social media is a reverend father they caught somewhere doing birth certificate and all of that, the ambas. So we should at least appease the Northwest. And the current government, the head of state, he has the mandate to get peace returned to the Northwest and the Southwest before he even goes for election. I think this is my own advice, like a Cameroonian. I believe that he can, because it suffices just that the President of the Republic says, stop. And he gets the right people, get some neutral people around him, and they talk to Ayub Tabe and others. It will be over. The President had even wanted that they should talk, but it will appear some camps are coming from left and right for certain egocentric and for certain reasons that we don't know. They cannot attain that objective. So, that is it.
All right, Barrister Nicodemus AMUNGWA, thank you so much for the insights you've shared with us in this edition of The Insight.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I do hope some other time I will be available.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today's edition of the program. You can follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook, and our social media platforms like Facebook and, of course, YouTube. You can also follow the rebroadcasts of the program on Friday at 5 p.m. Goodbye.